Hi, I'm Jeff Richards, and welcome to Japan Today Spotlight. This is our final edition for 2025, and we're looking back at the stories that define the year in Japan. But let's start where the year began. The year began with Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, remember him, failing to secure a meeting with Donald Trump ahead of his January 20th inauguration as the US president. Ishiba eventually met Trump in February, but came away empty-handed. Things then quickly unraveled. In October, Ishiba resigned. He had just 1 year in office following mounting pressure from within his own Liberal Democratic Party to take responsibility for a crushing defeat in July's parliamentary election. On January 28th, a massive sinkhole opened without warning in Yashio City in Saitama Prefecture. A 2-ton truck was swallowed. The 74-year-old driver was killed. The sinkhole rapidly expanded from roughly 10 meters wide to about 40 meters wide and 15 meters deep within days. Rescue efforts for the driver were hampered by unstable ground, flooding, and the crater's continued expansion. His body was recovered in May. The incident drew renewed attention to Japan's aging underground infrastructure. The Land Ministry says nearly 300 kilometers of corroded and damaged sewage pipes must be repaired within the next 5 years. Fuji TV faced intense backlash after allegations surfaced of a cover-up involving sexual misconduct by popular TV host and former SMAP pop group member Masahiro Nakai and a former female employee. Sponsors pulled out, executives resigned, and Nakai effectively vanished from public view. Another major scandal involved Japan Airlines. A series of alcohol-related incidents involving pilots, from failed breath tests to flight cancellations, and one captain caught tampering with a testing device, raised some serious questions about safety culture and accountability. Japan experienced its hottest summer since records began in 1898, according to the Japan Meteorological Agency. It was also one of the longest, from early June through to mid-October. The highest temperature recorded was 41.8 degrees Celsius in early August in Isesaki, Gunma Prefecture. The Fire and Disaster Management Agency says more than 100,000 people were taken to hospitals nationwide for heat stroke. In just 1 week, July 21st to 28th, 10,804 people were hospitalized. Bear attacks dominated headlines across the country. Between April and November, a record 230 people were attacked by bears. So pervasive was the issue that an education foundation selected the kanji for bear, kuma, as the single character representing Japan's social mood for this year. As of November 20th, 13 people had been killed nationwide, also a record. Bears were spotted in supermarkets, schools, even public toilets, private homes, and major tourist areas. Poor harvests of natural food sources, like acorns and beech nuts, have pushed the bears closer to human settlements in search of food. 2025 wasn't only about crisis. The World Exposition in Osaka wrapped up on October 13th after a 6-month run. Organizers declared it a success despite construction delays, technical glitches, soaring costs, and weak public support at the outset. Total attendance reached about 25.29 million visitors. The Asia Pacific Institute of Research estimates the expo generated more than 1 trillion yen in visitor spending inside and outside the venue. Japan's tourism boom reached unprecedented levels. Data for visitor numbers in 2025 are expected to surpass the 36.8 million set in 2024 and may approach 40 million according to the Japan National Tourism Organization. Foreign visitors spending on accommodation, shopping, and other consumption hit a record 6.9 trillion yen, about $45.5 billion in the first 9 months of the year. Sounds good, right? The problem? They all want to go to the same places. Cities like Kyoto have struggled with traffic congestion, nuisance behavior, litter, and damage to local ecosystems. Tourism is one of Japan's few booming sectors, yet meaningful national measures to manage overcrowding remain limited. This leaves local governments scrambling to disperse those visitors to regional areas. Another worrying development here was the rise of Sanseito. This is a far-right party founded in 2020 and built largely through, well, YouTube. Sanseito won 13 Diet seats in July. That's enough to submit legislation. Its Japanese first slogan and rhetoric, particularly towards foreigners, drew international attention and raised concerns about xenophobia. Then on October 21st, Sanae Takaichi became Japan's first female prime minister. 2 weeks later, she stepped into a diplomatic minefield by saying Japan might hypothetically have to respond with military force if Beijing attempted to seize Taiwan. The remarks triggered a very sharp response from China and further strained the already tense relations. Foreign resident policy became a political flashpoint. Japan's foreign population stood at 3,768,977 at the end of 2024. That's up 10.5% from the previous year, according to the Immigration Services Agency. Prime Minister Takaichi responded by appointing Economic Security Minister Kimi Onoda to oversee what the government here calls a society of orderly and harmonious coexistence with foreign nationals. How that's going to play out remains to be seen at this point. For consumers, the cost of living dominated daily life. Prices for more than 20,000 food items and services rose in 2025. Rice was rarely out of the news, with prices jumping about 70% compared to 2024 levels. Inflation continued to outpace wage growth by roughly 3.5%. Globally, Japan also felt the sting of Donald Trump's renewed tariff push. Japanese automakers and major manufacturers were hit hard due to their heavy reliance on U.S. exports. The weak yen helped to soften the blow for exporters, but it was brutal for companies that rely on imports. Anyone who's walked into a Japanese supermarket lately knows that. For investors, there was brighter news late in the year. The Nikkei Stock Exchange average surged to record highs, breaking above 50,000 for the first time. Before we wrap up, there were a number of stories this year that didn't quite fit into a single Japan Today Spotlight episode. They weren't big enough for a deep dive, but they weren't small enough to outright ignore. Here are a few that stood out, and we'll have links in the description below if you want to see the full stories. There was a man arrested after sneaking into a woman's apartment to wash her lingerie. A Shizuoka man was arrested for stealing 50 fire hose nozzles. 4 men were arrested for trying to use curry spice as a weapon during a robbery. Police discovered 74 packets of cocaine in a foreign traveler who complained of stomach pains. An Aichi town sued a resident for what officials officially described as extreme nuisance behavior, but really it was for being a jerk. A man waking up in rural Japan with amnesia, a mohawk, and 600,000 yen in cash. None of these stories define 2025 in Japan, but together they do say something about the year. What that is exactly, we'll leave it up to you. So here's a question. What story do you think actually defined Japan in 2025? Let us know in the comments and we can all fight over it. But from all of us, enjoy the holiday season and please join us again next year. Thanks for watching Japan Today Spotlight this year. And from the Japan Today newsroom here in Tokyo, I'm Jeff Richards. See me next time.